Alrighty, we're live. All right, let's get it all started. You all, you're welcome to the Genius Drive. My name is Mandy, and we don't chase hype in here. We build proof, you all. We don't depend on applause. We develop identity. This is Daily Growth Conversations, where we discipline our minds, we build consistency and self trust. We, we strengthen our habits and become who we said we want to be. If you're here live, please type "I'm present" in the chat so I can acknowledge you. And if you're watching the replay, you know what? Your reflection still matters here, my friend. All right, let me see that coming in the chat. Okay, I see CJ. Thanks for always showing up. I see AB. I see Favor. I see Grace. Thank you. I see Kate. Thank you so much. I see Wisdom. Wow. Thank you for joining. All right, I see you all in the chat. Thank you all so much. I see Favor. Wow, thank you. Okay, all right, let's get these all started. Let's settle in. So, yesterday we talked about something very important, right? We talked about boundaries. Not the boundaries in your mind, but the boundaries around your time. We talked about saying yes too often. We talked about protecting your focus. We talked about protecting your energy. But tonight, we're going deeper because sometimes the hardest boundaries to change are not the ones external, they are the ones inside your mind. So tonight's conversation is called Old Boundaries, the limits inside your mind. And this matters because many people are trying to build a new life with thinking patterns from their past, limits from childhood. They're trying to build a better space, a better life with limits from fear, with limits from failure. But you know what? Growth requires something uncomfortable. You must redefine what's possible for you. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever noticed something strange about growth? Sometimes opportunities appear, but you hesitate. Sometimes some doors open, but you doubt yourself. And the reason is not ability, it could be old boundaries living in your mind. Here's tonight's quote because I know some of you are already waiting for the quotes for today. So tonight's quote is you cannot build a new life using old limits. I'll repeat that again. You cannot build a new life using old limits because growth requires new thinking, my friend. Let me share something personal with you. Because there was a time when I was stepping into new opportunities, but something inside of me kept questioning everything. It would say to me, are you sure you're ready? Are you sure you're qualified for this thing you're about to start? Are you sure you're capable? And one day I realized something very important. My circumstances had changed, but my internal boundaries had not. I was still thinking like the person I used to be. And you know what? Growth requires updating how you see yourself. Let me bring you all into this. Have you ever doubted yourself in a moment where you actually had the ability? Maybe it showed up in overthinking. Maybe it showed up in hesitation. Maybe It showed up in you talking yourself out of something or a way forward. That happens to more people than you think. If that's you, please type learning in the chat. Okay. I see that coming in. Someone is saying learning. All right. Good learning. All right. Thank you all for being honest here because we're here to grow. We're here to learn. We're here to learn some things. We're here to unlearn some things and relearn some things, you all. All boundaries come from three places. Let's talk on that. Number one, past experience. Sometimes failure teaches the wrong lessons. It tells you, hey, my friend, you've tried once and it didn't work. Why do you feel trying again will make a difference? And instead of you learning, you just conclude, maybe this is not for me. Number two, other people's opinion. Sometimes people project their fears onto you. They tell you what's realistic, but what they really mean is what feels safe to them. Number three, comfort zone. What feels familiar feels safe, my friend. But safe is not always growth. Many people are not stuck because they lack ability. They are stuck because they never questioned their limits. Can I do this? I know I failed the first time. Can I try again? Let me tell you a story. I'll give you this simple example that happened to one of my friends. So I had this friend who had used the laptop for 6 months. She used the laptop every day. And one day, she discovered something. The screen was touch enabled. So all this while, the whole time, she never knew the laptop has the ability for touch screen. She never used that functionality in the laptop because she wasn't even aware. Now, not because that functionality was not there, but because she didn't know about it. Now, let me bring you into this. How many people are living like that? They have the capacity, they have the ability, they have the potential, but because of old thinking, they are not assessing it. I'll tell you this story. So last week I went to the zoo and I saw something that stayed with me. It made me pause and think. So there was a tiger that had been kept in a small space for a very long time. And later it was moved to a larger space with room to move freely because they were like three tigers in a small environment. So they moved one out of there. So those two can have more rooms and the other one has more room to itself. So the one in that free space, you know what happened? It kept walking. I noticed that tiger walking in the same small circle. Even though there was more space, the tiger was still living by the limits it had learned. And I stood there and thought to myself, how many people are doing the same thing in life? Life has expanded, opportunities have opened, but mentally they are still moving in old patterns. See, my friend, you are not always limited by your environment. Sometimes you are limited by what your mind has accepted. Let me ask you this. Which one of these are you right now? The person with the untapped ability or the one still walking in old patterns? If that's you, please type expand in the chat if you're ready to break that. All right. Okay. I see that coming in. I see someone saying being aware of oneself. Right. That's it. Let me ask you something powerful. What is one belief about yourself you are outgrowing? Type one word in the chat. Okay, I see someone say fear. All right, good, good. Thank you. Someone else is saying doubt, outgrowing doubt. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. We need to outgrow our small thinking because life has expanded, life has grown. We need to grow too. And thank you for being honest in the chat. That's beautiful because awareness is where change begins. Let me say something interesting tonight. Every person who has built something meaningful had to challenge the limit placed on them. They refused to accept small expectations. They expanded how they saw themselves. That's not arrogance. That's evolution, my friend. Someone is saying expand in the chat. I see you all. Thank you. All right. Now let's think about someone like Oprah Winfrey. I use her a lot as a very good example because she didn't let the limits set before her to make her see herself small. She expanded, she grew. She faced rejection early in her career. People told her she wasn't fit for television. But imagine if she had accepted those limits. The world would have lost one of the most influential voices in media today. Let's look at someone like Steve Harvey. You know Steve Harvey? His quota as a child. And when in class back then in those days, if he was asked, what do you want to become? He said, I want to speak on TV. I want to be a speaker. And everyone was laughing at him because he couldn't even complete a sentence. But don't let that write you off, my friend. Don't let people's opinion becomes your masterpiece. Don't give up on yourself. He didn't give up on himself, and now you all know Stevie Harvey. He's one of the great time speakers. You are great, my friend. Don't write yourself off. Sometimes the boundaries that must change is the one inside our mind. How do you see yourself? You need to reset your thinking. Tonight, I want you to try something. Write down one limit you have believed about yourself. Just one. Then ask, is this still true? Maybe you've told yourself, I don't think I can pass this exam. Go back and rethink. Is that a limit? I can pass this exam. Change your thoughts, change your orientation. Rewrite your story, my friend. The world is waiting for your greatness. Write something down and ask yourself, is this still true? Or is it simply familiar? Because many limits they survive because we never question them. Question your limits, question those doubts. Yeah, if this conversation is helping you tonight, take a moment to like the stream. It helps the message reach more people. And if you are new here, subscribe and join the Genius Drive. This is where we grow intentionally. Let me slow this down and bring it all together. Today we've talked about three major things. Number one, old boundaries often comes from past experience. Number two, we said growth requires questioning the limits you inherited. Number three, we talked about your life expound when your mindset expounds. You cannot live a bigger life while thinking smaller thoughts. Let us think. You cannot live a bigger life while thinking smaller thoughts. I want you to sit with yourself tonight and ask, what if the life you want is already possible? What if the real obstacle is not opportunity but perception? What if the next more of life requires a new version of you, a version that believes bigger things, a version that moves differently, a version that refuses old limits. You are not stuck, my friend. You are thinking within boundaries that no longer fits you. Listen, you all. You are not the same person who you were 5 years ago. You have grown, my friend. You have learned. You have evolved. So why should you limit and stay the same? If you're ready to think differently about your life, type I think bigger in the chats. Okay, let me see that come in. Oh, I see someone repeating that. So you can't live a bigger life with a smaller thought. Thank you. I see that coming in. I think bigger. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for keeping the conversation going. I appreciate you all. Now, let me give you something practical before we close here. I call this the boundary reset process. Yeah, the boundary reset process. Number one, or step one, you are going to identify the limits. What's that limit in your head? What's that limit your mind is telling you? Write one belief that you have been limiting. Write one belief that has been limiting you. Not 10, just one. It could be your own limits, could be you always tell yourself you are not ready. Your own limits could be you always tell yourself, I don't have enough experience. I don't know what the limits you have set yourself, but I want you to write them down. Your own limit could be, I can't do it. It's too difficult. Whatever your limit is, just write it down. Give it a name because clarity comes when you name it. Number two, challenge the truth. Ask yourself this question: is this fact or is this familiarity? Because you couldn't do something 5 years ago does not mean you can do it now. You have evolved, remember? Because many belief is true, but they were never tested. You just had the belief in your head. You had the belief that I can only lift 50 kg, right? Or 50 lb of something, lbs of something. Have you tried 55? How do you know? You just had the limit in your head that I don't think I can raise an object that is 55 lb. I don't think I can raise an object up that is 60 lb. You just had it in your mind because you've always lifted 50 lbs. Just try. It has not been tested, remember? You just had the mindset belief in your head. Step number three, I want you to replace the pattern. You don't remove a limit, you replace it. You replace it from I'm not ready to I grow doing it. I'm going to do it. You replace from I can't to I will learn how to do it. New thinking creates new movements. Yep. Then number four, prove it with action. This is where most people stop. Don't just think differently. Do something small that proves your new belief. Speak up once, start that idea. Take the visible step. Confidence is not built by thinking. It's good to think, I'm going to do this thing. Give it action. Yeah, confidence is built by evidence. Don't forget that. Transformation doesn't happen when you feel inspired, it happens when you act on what you just learned. So I want you all to go back, think through all of these things, name it, and act on it. Now, before we leave today, let me ask you one question. What's one thing that is limiting, or one thing that you are breaking after this life? What's one limit you are breaking after this life? Just type it in the chat. If you can't type it in the chat, just later on ponder about it, think about it, and write it down and work on it. All right, this is where we'll bring it to a close. Remember, this is Geenius Drive. We don't inherit limits, we redefine them. And tomorrow, we are going to talk about something every growing person faces: the moment when motivation disappears and discipline must take over. Because growth is not built on feelings, my friend, it is built on consistency. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night, y'all. Bye.